to Pastor Aggressive Podcast, real life, real faith, real talk. We got some real talk for you here today. We're going to be talking about Christmas since it's coming up, and Zach hates Christmas. So, what do you got to say? Have you been done some research on this yet?
Yeah, I've been doing a little YouTube studying, top of the line studying.
So you basically got your doctorate now.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 4-year degree.
Yeah.
Working on my 6th.
So, there was a couple of things I wanted to talk about on this, but this stems from a conversation we started around Halloween, and then you've kind of let the joke bleed into Christmas, and I think that it's kind of become a kind of more of a joke. I don't think you're really serious about it, but I mean there might be some seriousness to it. But I will say this: I've got somebody I know on Facebook who is very adamant about Christmas being a pagan holiday, and it can't be Christian because it's pagan. And
that's one of those things that just doesn't matter, bro. It's like one of the main arguments I hear, and I'm going to bring up just for the sake of I don't like the word devil's advocate.
Yeah.
In this case, it might actually be the devil's advocate, but Jesus wasn't actually born in December. And it's like, okay, but like we still celebrate Jesus being born on December 25th.
Right.
And I have the origins of that, but first I want to hear about your week, man. Specifically about your Sunday church service, Christmas service.
Yeah, okay. So today we had our children's program for Christmas, and it was pretty cool. We had a live baby play baby Jesus, which is always kind of can be a sketchy situation. But
baby has a lot to live up to.
As the kids say, he was really giving, meek, and mild. So so he was. That's what they say. Like when somebody's vibing with something, it says they're giving something, right? I don't know.
That was like the oldest thing I've ever heard you do.
I know. Mostly when I do stuff like that, Jude tells me I'm cringe, and then he never wants to hear it ever again. So, but when I talk to my kids like that, they hate it. It's like, what's up, all you fellow youths?
Yeah, I hear girls say like it's giving small d energy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
I hear that a lot.
that's something. Yeah, that would be something similar in that same area. But basically, the children's program was very well done. Iris played Mary.
Sweet.
At one point, she did leave the stage, but these things are bound to happen. Jaden. He's a little kid hanging out. Not little kid. He's an older kid, but he's hanging out with Jude right now.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And Tiffany kind of directed the program and stuff, and it was really fun. And then Cole played the music like normal for worship music, but he played for the kids, and the kids kind of led the congregation.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I think people really liked it. I filmed and edited a video of kids, like a kids say the darndest thing kind of Christmas video that we opened the service with. That went over really well.
Really?
So yeah, it was a good time.
What is with all of the churches doing stuff with kids? In Honduras, they did that. Remember, they did the Road to Damascus scene.
Yeah.
In church.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a lot of kids in your church?
We do. We have probably about 25, 30 kids.
Dang, boy, that's impressive. We got a bunch of like toddlers and. What is it when they're like age 1 to 3? Is that a toddler? Infant? No.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be toddler. Kindergarten age, pre-kindergarten, preschool.
I don't know. But we did the same thing. So we had 6 kids. 2 of the girls sung Silent Night. 2 of the boys, this guy Tom, he's a little older than me. He does landscaping for our landscapers, which is kind of cool. But he goes to church with us, and he's in a band called Caddo Parish. He plays music, like country music. So he has 2 boys. They're twins, and they dress the same all the time, cowboy hats and cowboy boots. So it was cool just to see him up there playing guitar while his kids were singing and all the kids were singing. I love seeing the kids in the church, man.
Yeah. That's really cool.
It's awesome.
Something Tiffany wants to try to do next year is try to get, like, quarterly have some kind of children's production. Yeah. Which Honduras, like you said, in Honduras, it was not Christmas when we were there.
Yeah.
And they had a kids program thing, which was super cool. Yeah. So I think it could be done if it's done the right way.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think youth things are important, man, but you can get we talked about how you can get overconsumed by how much the church is like their big youth programs.
the programming,
Yeah.
The one thing that made it difficult for me was the going off of the program, if that makes sense. Like today, it really showed me that our church is way more programmed than I'd like it to be.
Oh.
In that changing the format really threw a wrench in things. Like we forgot to take offering at first, and so we had to kind of throw that in last minute, and we always sing the doxology, and we didn't do that until like the end because it was all confusing, and I don't know.
Why don't we partake in the sacraments on Christmas? I feel like that'd be a great thing.
So usually we do. So our church we do communion on the first Sunday of every month, but I also normally do it on Easter and Christmas because sometimes that's the only time they come to church, sure. And I'd like for them, if they are really believers, to be able to participate in communion.
Anyway,
however, we can talk about. I think we could probably talk about that too.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
However, this week there was no way. The children's program and my sermon was like pretty long. It's a pretty beefy boy, really? And I didn't want to cut it because of the children's program, and I never want to do that. So, I just felt like I was like, man, if we add communion to this. And then we had a couple that was joining as members, which doesn't take long, but it is like kind of a little bit of there's some pageantry to it. And I thought if we add that and communion, it is going to be, and this is last week of doing the Advent candles. So
what does the process of becoming a member look like? Because, we think about Leo Tolstoy, he says never to swear an oath. What does that look like?
They don't swear an oath. Anyone can become a member if they want to. It's all on whether or not they want to be a member. Uh-huh. And so for us, that we give them a copy of our statement of belief. Mm-hmm. And if they feel like they agree enough with it that they want to become a member, then they can become a member. And then they normally just meet with our deacon board. And then the deacons can like ask them questions if there's something that like we're curious about. Like if they've been a member of like 7 different churches in the last 2 years, then they might be like, what's this all about? Why all the church hopping? Something like that. But really, we haven't had anybody where they've had a lot of questions or anything. Most of the time it's just like, the deacons are like, cool, we're glad you want to join. And then I present them to the church. Like the church doesn't vote on them becoming members or something. I just present them to the church so people will know, hey, we got new members, come alongside them, help them out.
And most of the time, if somebody's becoming a member of a church, they've been there for a little while, so it's like...
Yeah.
It's never somebody that just comes in and they're like...
Where I would be concerned, and this has been something where I've been like, I've made jokes about before, but it would be concerning, is if there's, like, I've been making an announcement that we're going to vote on something big, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to become a member that's only been there like 2 weeks. And I'm like, hang on a second.
Can I become a member of your church?
You could if you wanted to.
But I'm only there like once every 2 months.
Actually, so that there is a sort of requirement for membership at our church. And I think it's 3 times a year.
What? Bro, even Satan could do that, dude. Like, what? What are you talking about, bro?
I don't know, dude. It's the church constitution. I wasn't there when it was written.
3 times a year? That's Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you hit Easter, you hit Christmas, and then pick a third one just somewhere in there.
Oh, that's crazy.
No, I don't know what it's something like that. Maybe it's 4 times a year. It's not a lot.
Okay, that's better.
The requirement's not high. But we do expect that then if you're a member that when something does need to be voted on, that you're going to come to the meeting and vote on it. Now, not everyone does, but then you can't, like the idea is then you can't be like, oh, well, I don't like that you're doing this. Okay, well then come and vote and be a part of what the decision making looks like.
Is there an expectation of service when you like service in the church, whether it be like passing out the plate, the offering plate, or like a prayer team? Or...
Not necessarily, but to be on one of those things where you're like the person, if you're going to be on the worship team regularly, or you're going to be a deacon or a deaconess or somebody who does like children's ministry or something, if you're going to be involved in something that heavily, we want you to be a member. So we don't require our members to do a bunch of different stuff, but if you are going to do those things, we do require you to be a member.
So, what do you think I would be most suited at doing in your church?
I think you would be good doing the helping with the recovery group would be great. Although that's not something you have to be a member for because we have like other recovery group people that are helping out with that. So that wouldn't be.
I want you to know that I really want to be a part of that. But coming out here at 6:00 at night to your church, which is an hour away from my house.
Yeah.
That's a lot, bro. Especially in the winter when it gets dark at 5:00, dude.
Oh yeah. I get it. I get it.
I want to be a part of that, man.
But I don't know. I think deacon would be a tough role because we do kind of expect the deacons to be there a lot.
This is
not
what
like
I propose.
not like a 3 times a year thing for them.
I will stand outside of the bathroom holding towels and toiletries after the service and before the service. Could I do that?
That's not a position that exists now, but we could make it.
Okay, so if you made it, how much salary would I get for that position?
0 salary. There is not.
I want
there's
at
no
least
budget for that.
Anyway,
yeah.
Christmas.
So Christmas, yeah. So the Christmas program was fun. I enjoyed it. I love that kind of stuff. But Cole, our worship leader, and I were both saying we're ready for church to get back to usual. Like he's like I love Christmas music, but I am done playing Christmas music. You know what I mean? Like he's ready to.
You hear it when you walk in the gas station, when you walk in Walmart, dude. It's like.
So today he was working on like all of the songs for January. When I left, he's like, I'm gonna stick around and work on all the songs for January. I'm like, you don't have to do that. He's like, dude, I want to get on to regular music. So that was cool.
Yeah, there is. This will come up in the conversation. There is a weirdness. And this could either be wrong or right. I'm not sure, but there is a weirdness to like how much emphasis we put on Christmas in the church and Easter in the church compared to the rest.
Yeah.
It's just a little weird, uncomfortable. It feels almost a little bit.
Yeah, it almost diminishes, kind of like it's not important the other times of the year.
Yeah,
I've made a joke several times on Easter and like Christmas. I didn't make it today. I probably should have, but because today was very like our attendance was up.
Yeah,
naturally, this happens every time this time of year, and then also Easter. But I typically make the joke. We've got good news for everybody. If you only come here on Easter and Christmas, we've decided now to stay open year round. So you're welcome to come anytime. It always hits hard, and people really like that. But I didn't do it today because I was a hot mess today. Just too much going on.
Yeah, it's easy to be too hard on that. Like my pastor says, he's like, somebody brought up in Bible study this morning. They said that their mom goes to a church and the drummer was dressed as the Grinch playing the drum. And my pastor Tim, he was like, see, the cool thing is I don't have to dress up like the Grinch. I just act like the Grinch.
That's funny.
Because he thinks Christmas, he thinks these same things. I'd love to have him on to talk about this, but he's a little more on your side. I think you'll see I'm a little more on your side than you probably think. But I want to give my case first.
Yeah. And then I might, like, some of my stuff might be rebuttal to what you say. And if not, then I'll say the thing that I'm going to refute with the information I've come up with. Okay. I have a note in my phone that says Christmas is not pagan. Why I think that. So
this note's called "Is Christmas Pagan?" So automatically I'm more open-minded than you.
Right. Actually, yeah, I'm the one that's being close-minded by saying that it can't possibly be pagan. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So go ahead.
From the research I've done, just like Halloween, just like what we talked about on Halloween, it started out as a pagan tradition, right? So the Romans did it. The solstice.
Yes. The
Romans did it like it was more like a New Year's thing, how we have now. They're celebrating the coming of a new year. But pagan tribes, because back then, 2,000 years ago, winter was killing people. People were dying of starvation, of sickness, of freezing to death. They were hard times. So they used this time to celebrate, right? To celebrate abundance in life.
Yeah.
That's where the wreath comes from. That's where the mistletoe comes from. The mistletoe actually represents fertility. And kissing under the mistletoe came from those pagan traditions because on their what they would call what we would call Christmas, on their Christmas celebration, they would drink, they would have sex, they would do all these crazy things that Christians would think is abominable. And this is a debate that's been going on since the Catholics or the church
Okay.
started Christianity. Is Christians since the beginning of this have been withholding themselves from even celebrating Christmas because of its original pagan understanding. So this is what happened, right?
Quick sidebar though, I just want to say, because you mentioned mistletoe, a guy at my church 3D prints stuff, and the other day he made me a Christmas ornament that was super cool. It was what I thought was a giant frog with a nuke on his back, and I'm like, what is this? And he goes, it's a mistletoe. And it killed me. It was great.
That's
it's
hilarious.
So good. Yeah,
Mistletoe.
mistletoe. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
That's not pagan at all.
No, not at all. That's just good fun.
Yeah. So this is what happens, right? Saint Augustine. We all know Saint Augustine, whatever.
Augustine. Yeah, I don't think either one of us is gonna get it right.
So he was sent to this nation to evangelize and to uproot the church, right? And he writes back to the Pope at the time and is telling him about these pagan holidays they celebrate. And he's like, what should we do about this? They're attached to it. I can't get them away from it. And St. Augustine is thinking in his head, like, we need to deny this, right? But the Pope writes back and says to revitalize it, to revamp it, like what we've done with Halloween, right? So they revitalize it in order to pull these people into the faith.
Okay. And then this year the Pope is going to open a portal to hell or whatever on Christmas Day.
Krampus is going to
live telecast it or whatever. I don't know. I briefly caught that on TikTok.
That's everything on TikTok. You just briefly
I do watch a lot of things way out of context and then make my decisions about it. That's been great.
So yeah, the whole backstory of this, and this is like the pinnacle of the argument, is I think what they were celebrating maybe was a good thing, right? They were celebrating life, abundance of life. But like what Genesis 50:20 says, I'm about to pull it up. They were celebrating the abundance of life in a wrong way, right?
Okay.
Fornication, drunkenness, all types of crazy stuff. In Genesis 50:20, everyone knows this verse. If I can find it. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day to save many people alive. So it's like that verse that's like, what you meant for evil, God meant for good.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing we talked about when we talked about demons and this and Greek gods and this and that. Like, you kind of have part of the picture, right? And the way you could see Christmas being acceptable is the church fulfilled the picture, right? They made the picture about good, what the pagans thought they were celebrating as good, but they made it about true good, real good, Christ, the light. So in a way it's almost acceptable, but like the Yuletide logs come from it, Christmas trees come from it, mistletoe, wreaths, all this stuff comes from it. But one verse, Colossians 2:8, that I keep thinking of in rebuttal to this is...
This is great because I also chose this as part of my rebuttal. So go for it.
Beware lest anyone cheat you through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the tradition of men, according to the basic principles of the world, and not according to Christ. Now you hear this verse quoted all the time from Protestants rebuking Catholics and Orthodox. But I don't think it's like solely meant for that. I think Paul writes Colossians, right?
Yes.
So I think what Paul is kind of alluding to stuff like this, because Christmas wasn't a thing during Paul's time, right?
Right.
It came afterwards. So Paul would have known about these pagan traditions and would have known how Christians were trying to like twist them into a way where they could still indulge but feel like they're indulging safely. You know what I mean? And that I think that's how it originated. That's my opinion.
Okay, so I would also argue though, and this is kind of part of my rebuttal to that is in that same book in the letter to the Colossians. He says, therefore, do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink, or with regard to a religious festival or a new moon celebration or a Sabbath day. So he's basically saying, if you're doing everything for the Lord, then don't let people tell you you have to do it or you can't do it if it's unto the Lord. Does that make sense?
Sure. If we're talking in the context of Christians, I'd like to say the majority of Christians understand Christmas as a celebration of the birth of Christ.
Right.
But if we understand Christmas as a whole in the world, the majority of people do not see it as that. All these people that are out getting gifts for their grandkids, for their sons and daughters, they're celebrating Santa Claus and reindeer and this and that. And I don't have kids, but I know parents that intentionally don't teach their kids about Santa Claus.
Right.
That's where stuff starts getting messy, is when you start tying in this like weird stuff.
Like I do. Yeah, I tie in some of that stuff just for fun, but we always make the focus Jesus' birth, and this is why we celebrate. Yes. But I do have the fun stuff. In fact, we do the Elf on the Shelf stuff, which is a pain in the butt.
And I wish I never loves it, dude. Every time I come over, she tells me where her elves were and where they've gone.
And I wish I never would have started it because it's so much work, and Tiffany does not help with it. Zilch. I do all of it. And today I made a joke about it in the service. Like I was talking about all of the stuff that we get so focused on that we feel like we can't take time to sacrifice a little bit of our time to take care of somebody else.
Right.
And I was like, especially this time of year. And I said, you're getting so busy with getting ready for family get-togethers, and I got to wrap all the presents, and I got to move all the elves. And I didn't realize one of the little kids was still in there. And one of the parents just like looks at me like, ooh. And then the dad goes and he like this like real just dramatically looking at me, covers his son's ears, and I was like, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, they were cool about it. So
it's all right, man. You're teaching them the truth about Christmas.
The kid was not paying attention. I did not ruin Christmas for anybody, I promise. Was that your whole argument on Christmas being pagan?
Well, also the date.
Yeah. So, get into that because I'm going to touch on that a little bit too.
The date is weird. So they didn't pick the 25th for it wasn't just like a random date. They picked it because that was the date the pagans celebrated this festival on. So they wanted to rebrand it on
Saturnalia, right? Yeah. Is that what we're talking about?
Okay. Wanted to rebrand it on the same date, same time, so that they could seep in to the pagans' lifestyle in a way. Which we're almost called to do. We are called to be all things to all people. So I am dead set on the origins of Christmas being a pagan holiday, like Halloween and stuff I'm dead set on the origins of it being that. But I'm not necessarily hard set on it being a bad thing that the church revamped it.
Well, good, because I'm about to learn you something. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So Saturnalia was first recorded, and I just checked this out. The first recorded observance of Saturnalia was in 497 BC. Okay, so that is you're right. It was before Christmas because obviously 0 BC roughly is when Jesus was born. But it's not that far off, and here's why. So in
500 years.
Well, right. Okay, but 386. So, but I'm saying the birth of Christ being celebrated on the 25th is probably pretty close to when the birth of Christ actually was in terms of years. And here's why. In AD 386, so what is that? 350 years after Christ.
Yeah.
350 years after Christ died. John Chrysostom says that Christmas was being celebrated on December 25th, and he describes it in this writing from 386 as a long-time tradition. So what's a long-time tradition? I don't know. But if it's more than 300 years, then that was pretty recent to when Jesus was born. I believe the Orthodox hold to that Christ was born on December 25th.
No.
I don't think that's... I don't agree with that.
They celebrate that. I'm pretty sure they celebrate in January. the birth of Christ.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I know the Catholics don't celebrate.
I've heard all kinds of things. Maybe October, maybe March. I don't know where people get those or why.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
People say it was either in the spring or the fall, but
right.
You can't make that conclusion.
Yeah, or the winter or the summer.
Yeah.
It was one of those four.
It was one of the seasons. Dude.
Yeah. But one of the arguments is that people say, well, we should not celebrate any of the feasts that aren't in Scripture. That's another argument that I've heard. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, but you know me, I'm not super on the if it's not in Scripture, don't do it thing.
Right. And here's what I would say to that. Jesus has no problem traveling to Jerusalem to celebrate the Feast of Dedication, despite it not being commanded in the Old Testament. So he personally observes, we see in the New Testament scriptures, personally observing things that are not necessarily commanded in the Old Testament scriptures. So that's where I would throw that out.
Same thing was Sabbath. We're not commanded to uphold Sabbath.
Yeah, we're not.
But nobody's stopping you from upholding Sabbath. It's probably a good thing.
Right. Let's see what else I got. I got a bunch of stuff in here. And I don't even know how much time we have, but I'm just going to go with it.
Something I want to say about the feast real quick is the feasts, it was meant to bring life, to give proof that there was still life, abundance, right, to these people. But it also came with drunkenness. So a big part of the feast, and we see this now with the vodka eggnog and all this crazy stuff, dude, that your uncles and your aunties are getting a little too turnt on Christmas, and they're opening gifts, dude. They're drooling on your brand new Hot Wheels car, dude. It's we still do a little too much of this.
Hold on. I think my childhood Christmas was a little bit different than your childhood Christmas. Just no judgment, but
fair enough.
Let's see here. I quoted Colossians, but also in 1 Corinthians, Paul says, therefore, as to the eating of food offered to idols, we know that an idol is no real existence, so that doesn't matter. He basically says, don't worry about eating food offered to idols, because idols are not real things, so who cares?
What is that, food offered to idols?
So they would
goat?
Well, in Daniel's day, they offered these food to idols, and then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are oh, we can't eat that, and all this stuff. So Paul in the New Testament, he's saying we used to have a problem with that kind of stuff, but for the Gentiles, don't worry about it. Say you're a new Gentile convert and your uncle is a pagan priest, and he offers this goat to some god that's fake and is not real, and then he cooks it up and makes burgers out of it. He's saying, don't worry about eating it. It's fine. It's not going to kill you. You're not cursed now by this fake god because you ate something that was meant for them. Because for you, that's not what it's meant for.
Sure.
Let's see. What else we got here? Do you want to talk about Christmas trees? Because that's a big one. There's a scripture, and I'm going to botch it all up. I did not check my work on this one. There's a scripture, I think it's in Jeremiah, where he talks about pagans decorating the evergreens and it being abomination or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the exact wording. Look that up for me. But I will then counter that because that is not what that actual. I'll tell you what that actual scripture means. Funny that I'm saying I'm going to tell you what it means, even though I can't even quote it exactly for you. But I've done a little research on it. It's just been a long time. I hadn't even thought about bringing this one up. Did you find the scripture?
No, we're in a basement right now. So.
Well, yeah, but my basement has Wi-Fi. That's how we're able to do this show.
I'm not on your internet, bro. I'm like your side piece.
That's probably good because now you're not hogging up all the Wi-Fi for the cameras, so it's fine. But basically, Jeremiah talks about them cutting down trees and bringing them in and adorning them with stuff. But what he's actually talking about in that is he's talking about them cutting down the trees for the wood to carve idols. He's not talking about actually decorating the tree.
That sounds like a bit of a stretch there, buddy.
The stretch is making that about Christmas trees when Christmas didn't exist at that point. But
right here, boom, found it.
Okay, what is it? Read it to me.
I think this is King James Version.
That's fine. That'll be better. It'll be more judgmental.
Like Hebrew Israelites here. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord. Saith the Lord. Learn not the way of the heathen, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree.
Yeah. So basically, these guys are making statues, wooden idols, and adorning it with gold and silver.
But he's not talking about carving out.
Like, he does. He literally says carving.
It's the same way you cut down a tree. Like, here's the description.
He talks about forming it with tools.
Here's the description.
It. Okay.
This is Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology.
Okay.
Here we see a tradition during the time of Jeremiah of cutting down a tree out of the forest, bringing it home, fastening it upright, and covering it with various silver and gold decorations. The tradition is identified here as a heathen custom, one that should not be learned.
Okay.
The prophet Isaiah, the worksman melteth a graven image, and the goldsmith spreadeth it over with gold, and casteth silver chains. He that is so impoverished that he hath no oblation chooseth a tree that will not rot. He seeketh unto him a cunning worksman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved.
Yeah, so that specific instance is talking about making a graven image out of the wood of the tree. So I think that pertains to making idols, regardless.
But couldn't the Christmas tree, like cutting down a Christmas tree, decorating it, making it look all fancy, put your little star on the top, could be an idol?
I think it's possible that maybe people have made idols out of Christmas trees. I'm not making an argument.
Have you ever drove down like a rich neighborhood, and like you see all the lights and all the whoop-de-whoop, and it's all like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm cutting you off.
I agree with you on that. But I'm just saying I don't think that particular thing is talking about Christmas trees. Okay. And here's where the earliest mention of customs like Christmas trees are actually ascribed to Martin Luther.
Oh, no, dude, we're shot. Whatever Martin Luther says, dude, we can't go against.
The story goes that during a winter evening stroll, Luther was overcome by the brilliance of the stars in the night sky, painting the background over the evergreen forests. In order to capture that moment, Luther cut down and erected a tree in the main hall of his house and covered its branches with lighted candles. And this is according to Bruce David Forbes' Christmas, A Candid History, which is a book that was written by, like I said, Bruce David Forbes. It's also possible that the early Christian tradition of Christmas trees comes from Germanic plays, in which they would adorn a paradise tree that was used in a play about Adam and Eve. And they would put apples and things on this tree, but the only tree that was able to do that would be an evergreen tree because it lasts all year long. Sure. And you can use it anytime. So they were doing these plays in the winter about Adam and Eve in Germany, and that's, I don't know. That's what I found on the Christmas tree history.
Have you done any research on the Yuletide light or the Yule? What are those? Yule log?
The Yule log? Is this like from the cartoon Ren and Stimpy when they had the toy that was a log? It was like, it's log.
I don't know that.
Yeah. I forget that you were born not in that generation.
But it's like now, modern day is like you have like a 80-inch flat screen TV that's playing a burning log on it in your house. You know what I mean?
Well, but I mean, that's just called a fireplace.
Nah,
I got a fireplace. I use a gas log.
It comes from the Yuletide logs, dude. It's a tradition of Christmas where they would find the greatest logs. Like they would try to find the biggest logs, and they would throw these big bonfires at the celebration. Right, so the celebration would be outside, feasting, bonfire, sex. I don't know, drugs. Maybe they were on the stoned ape theory. Maybe they
peyote.
Maybe they were. I don't think that's like a cactus, isn't it?
I have no idea. I'm not the guy to ask about that.
But the Yule log thing came from that. But then when what's his name came and took Christmas and tried to revamp it,
Constantine?
Yeah, no, not
Augustine.
Augustine.
Yeah,
he
some Steen.
Epstein.
That's not the right one. I'm positive of that.
He turned it into a symbol of the light of Jesus, right? The burning fire is the light of Jesus, is what he turned it into.
Okay, I like that.
But it's all turning it into something else, which you could use the Genesis 50:20 verse and say, what you meant for evil, God meant for good, turned it into good.
Maybe. Yeah, you could argue that.
Or you can argue that we're still celebrating a pagan holiday.
I'll give you that Christmas is all about consumerism now and has become its own idolatry. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the first episode we ever wrote about.
Big C.
We did this.
Consumerism.
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about here, though, is Christians. Like, if you're a Christian, what do you need to know about Christmas?
Yeah.
Should you be celebrating Christmas, or should you even care?
Yeah. There's so many things that could be considered pagan traditions. Here's the thing. If you're worried and you're like, this is such a pagan thing, and you're worried about it, I would just encourage you to partake in one of the most widely accepted and noblest of pagan traditions of converting to Christianity. Because let's be real, that is the ultimate end goal, is that pagans be converted to Christians, right? So
yeah, but now what you're saying is, if Christmas is a pagan holiday, then we are pagans and we need to convert to Christianity.
I don't know if that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's what I'm saying.
I remember you did that joke at church and it didn't land, and you just did it here, and I still don't get it.
I keep trying.
I don't think I get it.
Dude, it's so funny, and it's not hitting. I don't know. Maybe I need to give up on that.
Can you break it down, just like for the people listening?
Okay, so pagans in the, all of the Gentiles are considered pagans, basically. Sure. So, when the thousands and thousands of people come to Christ at the beginning of the church, they're all converting from paganism to Christianity. But even if you go farther back than that, Abraham, when he first makes the covenant with Yahweh, prior to that is considered a pagan.
Right.
And so, the oldest of pagan traditions is converting to Christianity.
I get it.
See,
now.
Yeah.
See, when people hear that, I think they think you're calling Christianity a pagan.
No, I'm saying that pagans ultimately end up becoming Christians.
Okay, that is fun.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good joke.
That's a deep thought joke right there.
That's fine.
But yeah, the focal point of it all is it's not Christmas starting out as pagan or Halloween starting out as pagan. Is it necessarily a good thing that the church has revamped these and turned them into a Christian thing? Because what you said earlier, if the holiday is not in the scriptures, then I'm not going to celebrate it. Jesus doesn't tell us to celebrate his birth. He doesn't tell us to celebrate his resurrection. But we do. It's because he doesn't tell us to doesn't mean we shouldn't. We shouldn't honor him. But the same thing goes, are we honoring him by the way we celebrate Christmas is my wonder.
I think that's a better question. I think that's a real, really good question to ask, rather than saying whether or not it's pagan or whatever. Because matter. I think that would be easy enough to make that an excuse to not celebrate it and be like, oh, I don't want, because I've known people who are like, I don't want the hassle of all of this. Yeah. So I'm going to make an excuse as to why I can't celebrate it.
Well, and it's almost like it's kind of what gives Christians the shtick of holier than thou. It's you just start calling everything pagan, and calling stuff pagan is with a connotation that it's beneath you, right? And
Right.
we obviously shouldn't be celebrating pagan things like sacrificing idols and doing all this worshiping false gods and stuff. But like Christmas, what the church has deemed it to be now, celebrating the birth of Christ, like what we did in church. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a day at the end of the year to celebrate specifically the birth of the man, the God man who saved us.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm not against Christmas, but I am against Halloween.
Well, here's the thing, too. I think we need to seriously consider this. The song Deck the Halls.
Okay. Walking around.
No, not that one.
Christmas
It specifically says, "Don we now our gay apparel."
Oh,
so
that's blasphemy. What does that mean? We wear our gay apparel? Like our booty shorts? Like, gay as in
as in like happy.
What is... They used to use queer as weird.
Weird, yes.
Yeah. C.S. Lewis has that in his writings.
Yeah. And people, dude.
Did you see they canceled Mary Poppins, dude?
What?
They canceled Mary Poppins. Did? The media.
Why?
They said it's racist. They rated it PG-13 now.
Why?
Because what's that tea called? It's like Hottie Pot or something. It's like you put whiskey in it and you drink it when you're sick.
Hot toddy?
Hot toddy. So
why do I know that?
One of the characters calls somebody a hottie toddy or something like that. And apparently it was a racist word to like people in South Sudan or South somewhere of a darker skin complexion.
Great.
And it was a racist term. Yeah. And they canceled Mary Poppins for that, bro.
That's unfortunate.
I know. That's like one of the cleanest things you can still find out there.
Well, not really. He's pretty dirty when he cleans all those chimneys.
I actually don't remember Mary Poppins. Have you seen the new Snow White movie that's coming out?
Yeah. I've heard a lot about it.
People have a lot of bad suspicion about that, dude.
Yeah.
Did you see the lead actress was calling for like the death of Trump supporters or something like that?
I did. I also saw that she has said some kind of like anti-Israel things, which is one thing just in itself. We're not going to get into all of that, but her co-star who plays the Queen is Gal Gadot, which you can get me all fired up about the fact that they're anyway. I like Gal Gadot. I think she's a really great actress.
Gal Gadot.
She played Wonder Woman.
Oh,
in
okay.
the Justice League movies and stuff. Yeah. She plays the evil queen or whatever. Mm-hmm. She is Israeli, so like kind of sketchy that she's saying this when her co-star that she's worked with for an entire year is. Anyway, I digress. That's a whole nother topic for.
This is kind of on topic because Christmas isn't about like mainstream. Christmas is not about Christ. It's like this Jack Black movie that just came out. Do you see this? Where it's like
Dear Satan?
Yeah.
Where he accidentally, where the kid's dyslexic and writes a letter to Satan instead of Satan. Okay. I'm not gonna watch that movie. I'm not gonna I don't like the idea of like minimalizing Satan's evilness. Glorifying Satan, but the idea of a kid dyslexically writing Santa's Satan instead of Santa, that's actually pretty clever.
I went and saw Red One. Did I see that with you?
No, but I think I'm going to watch it probably this week.
We should go see. Are you going to the movies?
No, it's on Amazon Prime for free now. Yeah.
I need to stop spending money at the movies. But anyways.
But yeah, that's the one. It's got Krampus in it, and people are all been out of shape about Krampus. Krampus is a classic Christian tradition. Yeah,
but it's still like a movie about good winning. And like I'm not one of those. I mean, Leo Tolstoy literally says that you shouldn't go to the cinema, you shouldn't go to plays, you shouldn't listen to music. And it's like, I don't know if I agree with Leo Tolstoy on all that. I think we made it pretty clear we don't agree with him on everything. Well, besides the fact that there's no heaven, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was to be clear, I think the no heaven and the don't go to movie theaters are the two you could throw out pretty easily.
Yeah. But speaking of him, this is a good time of year to evangelize. And that's what I see it as. Yeah. I see it as I can now ask people, why do you celebrate Christmas? And then I could dig in on them a little bit there. So it's an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity. I think Saint Augustine saw it as an opportunity. The Pope saw it as an opportunity, and I don't think it's a bad thing. But people make it evil. That's what we do, man.
Yeah, I think that's. Bottom line is, listen to the Holy Spirit and what He's convicting you to do or not do, and let other people just do what they're gonna do, and try not to be a jerk about it. That's the big thing. Regardless of what you think about it, don't be a jerk to other people about it.
Yeah, Paul says, let each man be convinced. And
yes.
If you're convinced that it's a pagan holiday and you're worshiping Satan when you put your Christmas tree up, don't do it, dude.
I don't know what could possibly be pagan and worshiping nature about buying a fiberglass or plastic tree. If anything,
That's
I'm destroying nature with the Christmas trees that I've got that are going to end up in a landfill for sure.
You're just worshiping consumerism.
So one day I'm just going to buy a projector that projects one on my wall, and it'll all be like big tech. I'll let ChatGPT create an image of a big Christmas tree to project on my wall.
What's that called? A hologram?
Yeah, a hologram Christmas tree created by ChatGPT.
Your kids are going to be so disappointed when they find out their gifts are hologram gifts too, dude. Dude, speaking of side note, my mom has used the same boxes for Christmas since I can remember, dude. I went over to her house the other day. Same boxes, dude. She has never gotten rid of these Christmas boxes in the time I've known her, dude. So she's anti-consumerism.
That's incredible. Do they have a bunch of pagan imagery on them, like Santa Claus and reindeer? People talk about how Santa Claus is based on Odin from Norse mythology.
I'm like, try too hard.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Because just give it up. Just don't make a big deal about it.
Just don't celebrate it.
Yeah, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But don't get on other people and be like, "Well, you're going to hell because you're
an Odinist."
Get over it. Yeah, I'm not an Odinist because I like to pretend like Santa Claus.
And the Saint Nick thing's kind of cool, dude. Like Saint Nick punching the guy in the face.
I mean, Tolstoy would not agree because he's so nonviolent.
It's not cool, but like it's cool.
Dude, it's a story I tell almost every Christmas at church about how Santa Claus punched a heretic at the Council of Nicaea.
Because it is cool to say, don't you know Saint Nick is actually based off a real thing? It's not some mystical. He probably wasn't even fat.
No, probably not. A lot of those monks back then weren't.
I know.
Yeah. But he gave gifts to the poor, and he did that because he loved Jesus and he wanted to be loving like Jesus. So
we need to try to revamp what Christmas has become and turn it. Dude, that's awesome. I didn't even know that it was about giving gifts to the poor. I've always wondered, why do we give gifts? But we don't give gifts to the poor. We give gifts to
the kids that don't deserve it. Yeah. The kids that have so much already, I guess, is the way I should explain
It's backwards. Now we give coal to the homeless and gifts to the non-needy. It should be the other way around, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that's basically how it started. The gift giving tradition is because
I like that.
So and I think the Santa Claus thing, the spirit of Santa Claus is this, and this is what we teach our kids to, like when we like. And I'll tell you this is something that maybe is important. A lot of people will be like, well, if you teach your kids about Santa and you teach them about Jesus, and then when they find out Santa isn't real, they might not believe in Jesus.
I've heard that.
Jude is a perfect example. Totally believes in Jesus. He has a relationship with Jesus. He prays. He doesn't read his Bible as much as he could, but he's a 12-year-old kid. What are you going to expect? He still misbehaves. He's a 12-year-old kid. But he fully believes in Jesus. And we taught him about Santa when he was little, and he doesn't believe in Santa now. But he's also not a jerk to his little sisters and doesn't like ruin it for them. Yeah. He plays along. But it never at any point affected him believing in Jesus.
Yeah. So
I think that's a poor argument. And then the other thing is, what we always taught is Jesus is the reason we celebrate Christmas. And we're celebrating his birthday. Santa Claus brings you gifts to celebrate Jesus' birthday. He brings you gifts as a way to teach us how to be giving.
Interesting.
And that's the whole thing. And so we make it this whole thing about like
what are the
how
elves
we
for?
should give. The elves are to be a pain in my butt is what they're for. The elves was the kids asked about it, and it seemed like a fun idea. Like, oh yeah, I'll just move the elves around and have a good time, and I'll come up with these really clever things. And for 75% of the 25 days that I have to do this, it's like, yeah, I can come up with something clever. But sometimes it's the middle of the night, and I wake up like the parents from Home Alone. I'm like, we did it again! And I have to like scramble to find them so that I can put them wherever they're supposed to be. And then that's where it's not fun.
Yeah, we never did the elf on the shelf thing. I never got it.
It's fairly new. Like, I think it's only been in the last like 10 years or something.
Nah.
Yeah, dude, it's not that old.
Wait, did your parents ever teach you about Santa?
My parents were not big Santa people, but it's weird because my mom, when she was growing up, her parents were like, my grandpa did it up for Santa. Like one year, he dressed up as Santa Claus in the middle of the night, made sure he accidentally woke them up, and then was like, let them catch him or whatever. He
just like shoots a shotgun.
So like my mom was starting not to believe in Santa, and then that year my grandpa like went out of his way to like reel her back in, you know. And that's fun, man. That's just, I don't know. But I don't know why my parents really didn't get into the whole Santa Claus thing, but
we did as kids. You want to know how I found out he was not real?
How's that?
One morning I woke up, I come downstairs, and I see my auntie, my older brother, and my mom bringing a TV in the front door. And I just closed my eyes and walked back upstairs and started crying.
See, the other thing, man, Santa Claus can be such a mess too, because we do the lore of Santa is so all over the place that I think it can be difficult for kids. Like we do, Santa Claus, mommy and daddy buy you most of your presents, but Santa Claus gets you one kind of like special gift or whatever. But some people will do like Santa Claus brings all their gifts, or some people do like they can like their kid whatever they ask for, regardless of price, Santa Claus gets them that. Oh. Well, then that kind of sucks because then if you've got a kid that their parents just can't afford that stuff, then like all of a sudden now that kid thinks Santa Claus doesn't love him because his friend got the newest game console and he got a little action figure or something, and it's like that's messed up.
Have you heard people say like, I want my kids to know the gifts are coming from me?
Bro, that's pride, dude, and you need to repent of that.
You guys do the same thing. Hey, 85% of these gifts come from us, but Santa got you one thing, and it's this pair of socks.
Oh no, Santa gets the cool thing, like whatever is the thing they've been talking about all year. That's the thing Santa brings.
Can you tell us what your kids are getting this year? The big things?
The Santa thing.
Be quiet.
The Santa thing for Harper, it's this thing called a thready bear, which is like a bear that you sew yourself, kind of.
Sick.
Yeah, she's been talking about it forever. Iris is getting a Baby Alive doll, which is this creepy baby doll that looks like a real baby. Yeah, not really great. I'm not really a big fan of that. And then Jude, I can't remember because he doesn't believe in Santa, so we just get him whatever. But I can't remember which thing we're putting in his Santa gift. He's getting a bunch of cool stuff, but. Probably some Attack on Titan thing.
He has all the game consoles.
Well, those are mine. He just plays them. But yeah, he's just excited about Christmas. He just gets excited about it. But to his credit, he's helped with the elf stuff since he's learned that it's not real. There's been a couple nights where I woke up in the middle of the night and be like, "Oh crap, I forgot." But thankfully, Jude's got my back. He's already got it taken care of. So that's been cool. But that's the fun of it is like, as your kids, some people are like, man, when my kids don't believe in Santa Claus anymore, then all the magic's going to be gone at Christmas. It becomes fun for like different reasons. Yeah. So yeah, this has been a really long episode, but I think it's worth it. It's a big one. And then got another good episode coming out real soon with our buddy Matt.
Yeah, I messed up. We recorded that one before we recorded this one, and I kept saying Christmas podcast coming soon.
Yeah, and actually this one's going to come out before the other one, so it's fine though. But it's good. The Matt one is a good one to look forward to. That's our Christmas gift to you, is the interview with our buddy Matt.
It's a gift for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. And hopefully this video one. Now, the weird thing is this one's going to be a video, or at least a test of a video, and then the other one won't be, but we'll see.
Who cares?
Yeah. So, we're doing new things here. New year, new Passive Aggressive podcast. It's going to be good.
We got the new cameras up and rolling. Kinda, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we think so. Hopefully you get to see this, and it's got the new new camera, video, audio, everything.
So now, unfortunately for you guys, you get to see our faces.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a gift. But that might actually be not so cool. All right. Well, we're gonna end this thing up. We're gonna wrap it up. It's been a good one.
New acronym, baby.
Yeah. So God's truth won't back down, and neither should you. Stay focused, stay aggressive, and above all, stay relentless for God's glory. Amen. Yeah, that's really good. Really good episode.
How long was that?
This is right under an hour. And then the one with Matt is like an hour 20.
Yeah. I wasn't very happy with how I performed on that one. I was nervous.
Well, here's the thing, Matt